Welcome back to a new video. It's a bit of a struggle to come up with titles for these because a lot of them feel very similar, these longer videos of the week, and I've been having really good weeks of training, so there hasn't been, crazy adversity. So it's just productive weeks of training and everything's continuing to move up. So hopefully, selfishly, my titles stay boring for that regard. I've also moved my computer to another room, so I had to unplug everything and replug in everything, which doesn't change the editing program or anything like that, but the audio might be a little wonky because I won't be able to check till after, and I don't really want to record for 16-17 minutes and then re-record if I can help it. But this week, so this was a Sunday training session. I did some snatch balances and behind the neck jerks, as well as some pulls/deadlifts. So I wanted to do some snatch balances. I kind of wanted to do exercises that weren't the normal lifts, but were still productive. So kind of just auxiliary supplemental lifts like snatch balances, behind neck jerks, like lifts that, they're not the most specific, but they're still kind of productive in a sense. Obviously, you're working on your overhead strength and positions in the jerk and stuff like that. I was trying 130. I kept missing it, and it was just drifting forward. It felt good as far as the weight. Like, it didn't feel too heavy, but it just kept going too much forward, and that's why I kept missing it. But hit 120, so hopefully next Sunday, tomorrow actually, as I'm recording this on Saturday, hopefully I'm able to get closer to 130 if I am, lucky. And the only reason I say lucky is that on sessions that aren't the main ones of the week, so like this Sunday session, it's just, I don't want to say a whatever session, but it's one where if it goes bad, I'm not really that stressed. If it goes great, then that's fantastic. So it's kind of just a whatever session. And there are some sessions that are like that. It's not that they're not important or they're not productive, but you'll see one later this week where I believe it was Tuesday, where I was doing power snatches and I just stopped at 90. That was not a great session because I wanted to be able to go up to 105 again, but it's not the end of the world because it's not, the most important session of the week. For me, I would say the two most important sessions of the week are the Wednesday one as well as the Saturday one. Saturday one definitely being the number one priority. Not just because I'm in theory lifting the heaviest weights, but because I am practicing without straps, doing waves, doing squats, bodybuilding. Like, there's a lot that I do, and the reason I put it on Saturdays because I take a couple hours to do that session because I do all of the main lifts, of course, and then do all of the accessory work. Wednesday is kind of similar in that regard. There's just less volume in the snatch and the clean and jerk, but still a similar structure to the session. So those two sessions are kind of the most important. This deadlift here was 275 for 3. I don't think that's PR. I feel like I've done like 280 for 3, but I've probably mentioned this much times deadlifts. Like, I don't really pay attention to, really just in lifts in general, like repetition PRs that much. But especially for like deadlift stuff, I really don't pay attention to repetition PRs because it's not really too important. Maybe like doubles, but not really anything more than that. Just too hard to keep track of, and I don't really need to worry about what my best deadlift triple is when, obviously they're like 275 for 3 is plenty, but happy to be able to get that. Didn't feel too bad. I was kind of surprised, I jumped from 200 to that 275, so I wasn't sure, how that 275 would feel. I always think, I'm like, oh, what if I fail and don't get the rep? And then I always do it for more than one, so and every other lift I'll fail, but at deadlifts I'll just always exceed what I think is possible on a particular day. But just kind of shows when my deadlift is good like that and I'm not really doing it that much, that my squats are mostly going well. If my back squats are going well, my deadlifts are going to be fine. And it's a very low priority lift for me to do deadlifts. But this block snatch day was Monday, and you'll see some misses or some makey misses with 110, but I was able to come back and eventually make it for a good double. There was kind of a makey miss, and I don't know if this is because of that heavy deadlift or because of the snatch balance behind that jerk. My guess is that I was probably a little bit fatigued from that deadlift, and it impacted my ability to be as consistent as I wanted, but I did the same thing as I did last week. So in a sense, it was better because I was able to get up to the 110 without any misses again, besides that 90. But, it was kind of just me being lazy, like a true miss. But you'll see here, this was just too early. And I think I was just overthinking it because I was worried about doing the second rep of the double. This is my second attempt at it, and it was two kind of missy lifts. I think for either one, if I would have tried to run it forward, potentially could have saved it, but obviously not with the shelf there. And like on that second one, that was definitely like if I just kind of walked forward, I could have saved it, but it's not worth it to run into the shelf to save a 110 block snatch. Then here is the third attempt, so I was able to do this. So in a sense, like, obviously it's not good that I was missing those previous reps, but to have enough energy and to have enough desire to want to continue to try to do doubles and then to do the overhead squat after that double shows me that each week I'm progressing a little bit as far as how strong I'm going. Since the kind of like the first week of going heavier on the block snatches, I did 120 for a double plus overhead squat, but I went 70, 100, 110, 120. So I didn't do very big, or I did very big jumps last week. And this week I did very small jumps, just 10 kilos all the way up until 100 and then 105, 110. So in theory, I should be able to keep getting more consistent up to 110 while maintaining the amount of volume that I'm doing with those doubles building up to that weight, which will just be a net positive thing. And I am kind of noticing that throughout the week, particularly on that Wednesday session, and even on the Saturday one, that those lifts are going better. So I think it's a generally good thing for me to do to continue with these high block snatches. And then the block power cleans are not really a priority lift. It's more so the push presses, which for me is kind of like a nice Monday lift because it's not a heavy clean and jerk. And the temptation for me is to just do clean and jerks and do those when I do heavy block snatches, which just kind of doesn't allow me to recover that well for Wednesday or really for Saturday. And it's not really the most productive when I can do something more productive like push presses. It also allows me to not do heavy cleans from the high blocks, which feel horrendous to do. And I've been kind of noticing like, clean jerks are still going well. And a lot of that is from my jerk feeling better and the consistency with the positions and the technique with that. So I'm not really that worried about necessarily the strength of the clean, particularly like the speed under. Like I can usually get under any clean that I want to. It's more so the ability to stand it up well or the catch the bounce or anything like that. And what I've noticed is block cleans don't really help me with that. I still kind of just crash under the bar. And I think a lot of that's just because of the nature of the position that I'm in for that movement. And I think that's why a lot of people that are longer limb don't really do them particularly well or do them a lot. It's more so like the shorter, lighter lifters that tend to do them. There are the exceptions, like the Iranians do them very heavy and do them quite a lot. But that's really the only people that I really see doing high block cleans a lot. And they're kind of just absurd, but they're also kind of built more for them. Like they're shorter limbed in some weird ways. I don't know. It's odd. I guess because of the way they clean is more into their hips. I think it makes it a little bit more of a natural position for them, and I don't. So it makes it feel like I don't get anything on the bar. But on the session, this was the one where the power snatches weren't feeling good. So I moved up to doing, or I stopped at 90. I did 90 twice and then went there. Sorry for that blank space there. I'm going to fix that here in a second so you guys won't notice it, but I noticed it. That's one difficult thing with recording the commentary is seeing editing errors or errors in the weights as I'm going, and it messes with my OCD. Like I can't go back and do it after. I have to stop the recording and fix it right then because it bothers my brain too much. But doing the 90 kilos for 3 in the press, I was pretty surprised with. I honestly thought I would do 1 or 2 and that would be it. I thought the double was pretty realistic and the second rep would feel really hard, but I was actually able to do it for 3. So I was really happy with that. And that's kind of how Tuesdays have been kind of shaping up, where it's a relatively lighter day. If I feel pretty decent, like I might push the power snatch a little bit, but doing like overhead press or something makes life a little bit easier on that day. And it's important to have those days where you can still push in a way that's not going to destroy you, but is still productive. Also, was it Tuesday? So this was also Tuesday. So I did some front squats. I actually forget what I front squatted up to. I know later in the week. This was the 170 for 2. Okay, I forget. I completely forgot where I was as far as the week of training goes. So this was a separate video itself. So this is the condensed version of it since it's in a longer video. But this is where I worked out really fast for these snatches, and I went 10 kilo jumps. So kind of like pig squats. If you're an OG weightlifting fan, you probably have heard of those from, I think, Miklo, the Finnish weightlifter. This is not obviously the way that he would do these, but he did them with back squats and did them with many more reps that I'm doing. But the idea of doing small jumps just allows you to kind of just get more volume in and to practice the lift more. And I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to get up to 170 for one and able to actually do it for a double, which was the second thing that was very surprising. So really productive day to get up to that 170 for two. And it honestly didn't fatigue me as much for this session as I thought it would. I thought honestly doing those front squats would kind of really tire me out and slow me down in this session. But when I was warming up for snatches, I was feeling really energetic and really, I guess energetic is the best word, because it's never like I feel super explosive or feel like exceptionally fast, but it's like I'll do a rep and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to smash the second rep. It's kind of like having that confidence in a sense. I don't even know if it's really, it's a hard subjective feeling to describe, but it's like you do the first rep and then you're like have the aggression, I guess is a good way to describe it, to do the second rep. Because it's like having the energy, but it's more so like right there, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then I just, boom, do the next rep. But on this day, I was actually able to get up to 110 for three. So this was the other video during the week, the highlights, that I just posted the highlights of this training session. I was extremely surprised that I was able to get up to do 110 for a triple. I haven't done it I think I've done it for a triple before, but not for a while. Not as good as I did on this day for sure, probably ever. But then like I had a couple reps building up to that. Like that was a makey miss, and the second one was a make. But 105 I believe was kind of similar, so we'll see it here. I think this was a makey miss as well. Yeah, so I mean, the only reason I consider it a makey miss is I was able to keep my hands on the bar, so I was able to control it enough to bring it back down, and then able to do the second rep. But if I would have missed the second rep, I would have probably considered it a miss for both of the reps, but not very pretty on the 100, 105, so I kind of locked in for this one. And once I caught that first one, I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. Like it felt like I caught it strong. And the second one, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm going for three. And the three was just kind of a spontaneous feeling after I did that second rep. And what I kind of noticed as I was doing the reps is my hips got a little bit higher, which kind of means that probably my legs got a little fatigued and my back was doing a little bit more work. It's just something to kind of think about when I'm doing snatches in the future. Not necessarily that I want to have my hips higher when I start my pull, but if I'm getting fatigued and I'm starting to feel that, then it's probably an indicator that my legs are getting fatigued. On this day as well, the other reason why this is a good important day of training is that I'm either doing doubles and snatch, or for the case of clean jerks, doing a complex. And with how well this complex went last week, I just wanted to push it up 5 kilos this week and see if I could do it. And probably is a PR. My best clean front squat and one jerk, I think, is like 150. It might be a little bit more than that. But doing the clean plus front squat plus 2 jerks, doing it with 145, I don't know. I don't think I've ever done more than that. Certainly, I don't remember a time where I've done more in a complex like that, because I mean, honestly, I haven't done this complex a lot, but it's been feeling really good. I've been pleasantly surprised, and doing the complex building up in the weights. So not just doing singles and then trying the complex at the top weight, which is one way if you're trying to break through a plateau with a certain complex, maybe like a clean front squat jerk. It's one way to kind of conserve fatigue if you are just worried about increasing the 1 rep max of that particular complex. But on this day, it's meant to make this weight challenging, so I'm trying to do that complex on the way up. And when I did this first jerk, it felt so good and it was so surprising. And I kind of want to probably credit the front squats and also the behind the neck jerk that I did earlier in the week. That's one thing that behind the neck jerks I find really help, is that kind of neurological tolerance. So if I'm holding that similar weight, even if it's from the front, it just feels like I can be much more aggressive with it, and it feels lighter in that. So that's one thing to keep in mind with behind the neck jerks. It's an easy movement. It's a way to kind of not necessarily overload the jerk crazily. I know there are people that can do a lot more behind the neck than from the front. But what I find is that even if I get up to the same weight, like I did 145 and I did 145 from the front here, and so being able to even do the same weight does kind of build that tolerance. And it's certainly a movement that I'm glad that I'm able to get back to. It's one I wasn't able to do for a little bit with my left shoulder kind of pushing everything forward. Obviously, making the behind leg jerks not the safest movement to do if you're pushing the weights too far forward. But it's one that now that I have pretty much all my mobility back in my shoulder that I'm able to do comfortably, which is nice. And I don't necessarily have a particular weight, just like with snatch balance. I don't have a particular weight that I want to get up to, but if I'm able to just continue to push it up, and even if it stays the same, like even if tomorrow, if I snatch balance 120 and I do 145 behind the neck as well, like to me that's productive, and it just means that I'm not necessarily getting weaker week to week, but I'm kind of being able to handle the fatigue, because in theory, prior sessions or subsequent ones are going to be more difficult. So then if you're able to maintain the weights on the lighter sessions, then that means that your fatigue management is probably good enough, and that you're still getting stronger, but you're not doing so much on the previous days that you're absolutely getting destroyed. So I don't know. It's one of those things that when you train every day, that you kind of have to have those sessions in where you're not going to be going balls to the wall for every single lift that you do. So it's important that like a day like this. So this was a Friday session that I'm not maxing out or anything. I'm getting up to a certain weight and then I'm stopping there because it's just not going to feel great. And a thing to know as well, the training session at the gym was on Wednesday. I actually didn't train Friday at all because on Wednesday, I did 4 bodybuilding exercises after I did all those exercises. So I did overhead tricep extensions with the cable bicep curls, leg extensions, and leg curls, similar to last week. I don't know if I did them all in the same session. I'm trying to do it twice a week because I don't want to do it too many times. And I usually go to the gym twice a week, and that's where the machines are. And so it kind of works out in that regard. 2 times a week doing, pushing the weights or the volume with those, I think is sufficient for me right now. I do want to add in a day of doing lunges. I did, I think, 1 day of lunges last week, and they were assisted. So I'm trying to make sure they don't go away entirely, but I'm not too concerned with pushing the lunges necessarily all the time or like getting up to a certain weight, but I still want to do them because I think they're beneficial. Clean jerks after snatches did not feel good on this day. The clean with 125 was terrible. The jerk was fine. Then the clean with 140 was good, but the jerk was horrendous. So kind of a weird day, but I definitely did feel tired on this one still. In this day, but it is one of those things that kind of makes sense because of how much work I did on Wednesday, basically 2 training sessions. But the bodybuilding work, I'm not worried about pushing the weight up necessarily. I'm worried about increasing the volume each time that I do it. So for instance, with the leg extensions, I got up to doing 150 reps with 50 pounds. So I did sets of 30, which is a lot of volume, and it took a little while to do. So for leg extensions, actually, I'm increasing the weight and then dropping the repetitions that I'm trying to get down to 100. And then for stuff like tricep overhead extensions, pushing those with, I think it's 30 kilos because the silver machine that I use for them is in kilograms. Said that word, in kilograms. But with those, pushing up the reps like 10 each week. So less about trying to push the intensity up, but more trying to get the volume up, since they're more focused on tendon health and also muscle building, and not just building necessarily like muscle strength. So kind of hypertrophy focus. So one way you can kind of approach your accessory work, because at least for me, it makes them a lot easier to do mentally. I don't really want to be grinding through heavy weights on accessory work because I've already done that throughout the session. So mentally, I just don't have that energy. And when I don't, then I just don't do those accessory exercises. But because I'm pushing the volume, I've been able to adhere to them more. Besides all that, I've also put together my rower. I did that on Thursday when I wasn't training. And I did that. I've done it 3 or 4 times already. So I did it in the morning. I did it Thursday night, and then Friday morning, Friday evening, and then Saturday morning for a little bit. And I'm not doing a ton of cardio. I'm just trying to be consistent with it, and trying to find a measure that works to linearly progress it, similar to the bodybuilding, to increase the volume of it. Right now, I think I've settled on calories. That seems to be the most consistent measure with the little machine that I have. I don't really care about burning calories necessarily, but it's just a way to measure the amount of work that I've done, and then trying to go up from, I did like 46 calories to 50 and then 55, and just try to increase it each time, which will make me increase the amount of time that I'm doing it as well. So that's something I'm adding in. Nothing that's too crazy or intense, but I enjoy the rower, so that's something that I wanted to get instead of having the stationary bike, since I just didn't like using that. But anywho, that's it for this one. Surprised I was able to talk for 20 minutes after talking all about the training, but sometimes I'm able to just ramble on forever and ever. But if you made it this far or to any part of the video, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.